When I was 5 years old, my mom gathered up myself and my two siblings. I'm the oldest of three, and she gathered us up on my bed and told us the gospel and told us how Jesus came, how he was born, how he died for all the things that we do wrong, and how he rose again so that he could live forever, and we, if we accepted him, that we could live with him. And I remember, and my two siblings also remember this night very clearly, and we all remember accepting Christ at that time. It's a clear memory that we all share equally. So I was very young when I accepted Christ, and that has always challenged my testimony in some ways. But when I was 9, I got very sick and wasn't recovering, and went to the doctor, and we found that the illness that I had had, even though I was treated for it over the course, had caused some damage to my heart, and I spent some time in the hospital with a heart infection. It did cause permanent damage. We couldn't do anything about that damage at the time because my heart was still child size. When I was 16, I had a relapse of that same illness. They didn't know exactly what was causing the infections in my heart, but this was now the second time that it happened. And I was in the hospital again for a while. They still couldn't isolate the virus or the bacteria that was causing it, but I recovered. My heart was reaching full size because I was 16 now, and what we were told is maybe in another year I would have to have heart surgery to replace the valve that had been so badly damaged over those two illnesses. The summer before my senior year, we moved from Washington State down here to Florida, and my doctor in Washington said to me, well, move to Florida, start school, find a cardiologist, have heart surgery. And I started school in Fort Myers, and in October that year, I had open heart surgery for the first time. My aortic valve was replaced with a PIG valve because it didn't require that I would have to be on blood thinners long term. And I would be able to have a pretty normal life and have children. And so since I was 17, they figured that I would still be young enough to have another surgery when the PIG valve would eventually fail. And I got married when I was 21 to my wonderful, handsome husband, Dale, and we had two beautiful daughters. And I had another heart surgery when our youngest daughter was 2 months old. The PIG valve had just done everything it could do for as long as it could do it, and it was worn out, and I had to have surgery again. And I know how scared my parents were, and I just really was always comforted by the presence of God. I just knew Jesus was there with me the whole time that I was in ICU, and I felt comforted, and I felt assured that I would be okay. While I could feel that assurance, I was worried about my family because I wanted them to have the same peace that I did, that things would be okay. And I know that that Dale could have that, and the girls could have that, and they also believed that Jesus was taking care of us, all of us, and not just me. But it's still hard to be going through something, and you know how people want to be strong for their families when they're not well, and I guess that's how I felt. I tend to be a really independent person, and my mom, when I was a child, described me as fiercely independent. And I say I have an independent streak, and Dale says I have an independent superhighway. I guess I like to do things on my own. And I think that what Christ did was he said, I have to get you early because you're so independent that if I don't get you early, you're going to think that not only do you not need other people to be there for you, but you don't need me. And so When you ask me what the cross means to me, what it means is that Jesus died and he suffered alone. God forsook him. His disciples forsook him. But he didn't forsake me. And every time I laid in a hospital bed and I was lonely and I was worried about people, about my family, and I could be assured, and many times I was assured, that Jesus was there with me, and I wasn't suffering alone, and I wasn't hurting alone. And all of that he bore alone so that he could be with me. So the cross means comfort. The cross means peace. The cross means that you can rest in Jesus' arms completely.